This is my show, Love from London's Life Coach, coming to you directly from London. This podcast comes with a warning, as it is unapologetically controversial. This show hopes to break the silence with the purpose of awareness and discrimination of cultural restraints across the world. Enjoy.
So I'm with Jodie Abacus, who I'm going to allow him to introduce himself because I know him as a friend and a gorgeous man that I've met on a random trip to the seaside. But hey, here we are now. Jodie, do you want to just say who you are? If someone said, who's Jodie Abacus, what would you say?
I would say Jodie Abacus is an artist from Southeast London, a singer, writer, producer, fun guy, amazing. I don't know. Do I ever really talk about myself like that? I'm just a normal person like everyone else in the world, I guess. You know, everything's going on. I feel that I have a lot in common with a lot of other people who have empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
You know?
I recently bumped into I was just going to say, I recently bumped into you when I was catching a train at London Bridge. Do you want to just say about where you were going and why?
I think, where was I going? I think I was going to the last month's protest. Is that right?
Yeah, you were.
I was, wasn't I? Because I can't remember. So much has happened. Yeah. I was going to last month's protest in West End, which was meant to be, it was Saturday the 15th or the 25th, 24th, something like that. And I was there planning to meet friends. No, actually, are you sure that was Saturday? What date was it?
I can't remember the date, but I know that I was getting on the train. I was getting on the tube.
Was it at the end of was it at the end of the month?
It's been a while. I was heading to Hyde Park.
Was it at the end of the month?
You were definitely going on a protest, Jodie.
Can you hear me? Okay, 1 second. Was I going to Hyde Park?
I was going to Hyde Park, but you got off before because you were meeting somebody, and then you were.
Why were you going to Hyde Park?
Research. I was going for research, no lie, but you were going.
Then I was going to Hyde Park for research as well.
No, okay.
We were all going to Hyde Park for research, so I'm trying to fix my picture.
Okay, no worries. All right, let's. So, I know the music industry has been hit really hard with this so-called pandemic, which has locked us all in within our homes and caused a lot of disruption. I know it's affected you hugely because you're unable to, do your live gigs and just generally be out and about. When I met you in the seaside, as I'm going to call it, the seaside, you're in a bit of a different place, aren't you, mentally? Do you want to just talk about that? Because I think it would resonate with a lot of people, how they've been feeling. Because let's face it, the pandemic's been a real roller coaster.
Gosh, where do I start? I mean, look, when you're trapped, when you're locked away by yourself and your own thoughts, it becomes, let's just call it what it is. It does become depressing for the first time that you go through that stuff, and you do. I mean, I'm speaking as if I have some trauma behind the whole lockdown, which I did. Like no one really comes out of this lockdown without at least one marble gun. Okay, some people do the complete opposite. Some people, they become creative and stuff like that. The complete opposite happened to me because it was the dawning of understanding, especially towards the end of the year, understanding what this whole situation is all about deeply, and understanding that it is more than COVID. I'm going to give you my straight-laced opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, no holds barred. because we've suffered too much for this thing to just be like, oh my God, let's wait and see what happens kind of thing. That's a fairy tale. I throw it in the bin. It's bullshit. There's people out there with real voices that aren't getting heard, and it's nearly coming up to about 1.5 years of this madness. Do you know what I mean? And if you're someone who can't see what's happening, and you're just going like that, then something's wrong, which a lot of people are doing. And it hurts. It hurts to think that, especially over there, especially in that place, knowing that even now, thinking that it could develop into this situation that we are in now, which means that the year before, understanding and talking to people, saying to people that that might actually happen, not wishing for it to happen because you don't want it to happen. No one signed up for this, but yet here we are. We're here.
Do you feel that the 1.5 years?
And a lot of people are still going like that. Oh, well, you know, let's go. I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah. I was just going to say about that. Do you think 1.5 years has reprogrammed people's mannerisms, their habits? Because the word lockdown is such a prominent word, because words literally are very important in how we use them. So the word lockdown.
Words are very, very powerful. Yeah, words are very, very powerful. You know, if I was in charge, I would have used choice words, and I would have used language that wasn't so threatening. You got to understand, like, adults are like young children. You have to treat them the same when it comes to things like this, especially when they don't understand. Like, if I'm mentoring, I go into school and I speak to a kid a certain way, right? It's going to have an effect on them.
Definitely.
Whether it's positive or negative, whether it's healing or damaging, I have to be aware of those things. We don't know what people's mental capacity is, you know? But at the end of to be able to take things on board, and we've been threatened for almost 1.5 years now. We felt the anxiety for 1.5 years, okay? Nothing's really changed. There's no promise. People's voices aren't being heard. And I think people should be concerned about that, you know?
Yeah. I know it frustrates you because a lot of people don't question what they're told, but do you feel that...
They are not questioning.
Sorry?
They're not questioning.
They're not questioning, no, I agree. But do you feel that people have almost been reprogrammed and have accepted the impositions of the new sanctions that they've been given? And it's worldwide. Let's
100%.
Yeah. And what
100% believe so.
What would you say to somebody that says, Jodie, it's a load of rubbish, you know, you're talking twaddle, it's not true?
I say, don't believe what I say. Don't. Why should you? The rest is up to you when you go and you research for yourself. And half of the people that I know, and some people just won't do that. Yeah. It's just BBC, CNN, NBC, this, that, and that, and that's legit. But when you don't understand history and understand that history is repeating itself, especially when it comes to propaganda, fear, and tyranny, this is happening again, okay? Yeah. And as much as you can ignore, it's like I'm saying to people, I'm using like what's the word? Metaphors, like, you know, don't get back onto the slave ships, or don't get back on those carriages. Don't get back on the carriages. You're being told something, you're being swindled into believing. And some people believe that why would they do that to us?
Yeah.
They love to make you feel comfortable in watching Coronation Street, going about your everyday life, walking to school, dropping the kids off to school. And this could never happen to us. You know why? Because we live in the Western world.
Yeah.
We can't get bombed. We can't be starved. You know, we can't go through all this shit that everybody else, excuse my language, that everybody else goes through. They can, but we can't. So the government must be looking after us. Even though I hate the Tories, number one. But yet I trust them in this situation,
Mm.
to not even take the piss,
Do you think it's
to
easier?
listen to the science.
Do you think it's easier for people just to feel that comfort of not wanting to know? Do you think that's part of it?
It's a, I really do believe that some people are scared. They're scared. They also, there's different factors. Okay, it's complex. Some of the way people think. Some people think really selfishly. They want to get back to a new normal, whatever that is, or a normal. And some people are just stuck in their ways. They believe 100% what the government is telling them. Some people believe half and half. Some people want to listen to news from different places. Yeah. But there's people that will just assume that you are a conspiracy theorist because they can't comprehend or fathom how big the deception is. You know, they can't comprehend. It's like, to them, it's like, how could it be possible that they would be doing this to us? Listen, there was a whole slave trade, okay, for 400 years. 400. You needed a network of people, yeah, to work to make that happen for 400 years. Of course it happened then. Oh, well, that might not happen again. It's happening now. It's happening already. I went on a protest about 3 years ago, talking about how they're still trading slaves. They're kidnapping people, and they're still doing it. And some people are like, no, it's not. I was there. I witnessed this stuff. Or I've researched it. You know?
Yeah.
People are also afraid of. People are also afraid of getting it wrong.
Yeah.
So, because I believe in the quest for the truth, you should have the courage, right, to try and find shit out. Like, it's your responsibility, especially in this time, it's your responsibility as a human being, especially in this time, to look at what the facts are. And a lot of people aren't doing that. They're just guessing.
Do you not think
they're guessing?
Yeah. Do you not think there's a stigma that you don't agree? Do you not think there's a stigma? Do people react to you in a unsavory manner when you say to them that you don't want to take the vaccine?
Yeah, of course they do. It's like, man, I've heard some absolutely nightmarish stuff, and it just doesn't make any sense. That has left people's chops. We should just take it and just get back to normal.
Yeah.
Do I look like I've got a mug written across my face? Something that I can't sue. This is the common sense of it. I can't sue them, right? I can't sue the pharmaceutical companies. There's no guarantee that it's going to work or make me ill.
Yeah.
It's like putting this to, you're going, you got the vaccine, you got crack, and you got heroin. Yeah?
Yeah.
I've got to a point where it's like, I know this is metaphorically speaking, right? But it's like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'd rather do that. If you gave me a choice, I'd rather do the other two than do that. I'm not condoning taking drugs.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're putting something in, and you're coercing me to do something that sounds very dangerous. And if it was really that bad, why do you need to sell it to me? Why do you need to endorse and pay celebrities to sell this to me? Why do you need to pay?
You're talking about the NHS.
The FDA say?
Are you talking about the NHS advert? Are you talking about the NHS advert?
I'm talking about a lot. I'm talking about the NHS. I'm talking about both BAME and NHS adverts. I'm talking about celebrities. I'm talking about people in the drive. You know, there's people that were falling over in Japan, China and stuff like that, and even in India and stuff, places like that. I never saw any of that over here. Let's be real, yeah? Let's be real. Let's stop messing around. Let's stop not being afraid of what other people might say about you. And just grow some. Grow some. On any side, grow some.
Let me ask you this then. Let me ask you a question. What would you say to the people that say, well, you know, I've got a relative who died, my grandfather died, or I have a cousin who died, or a child even? What would you say to them when they say to you, how dare you not say it's real? Because there will be those.
But that's, you know what, I'll be honest, that's normally the reaction, okay? But in a zombie movie, ironically, you have to keep moving, okay? And I do sympathize with people, I do. It's in me to do that. And some people know me, oh, you do like, it's normally like there's a lot of narcissism at play here. There's a lot of narcissism. It's not just about you. It's like, okay, we've got this problem, but the problem is expanding, it's around the world. Who are you talking to apart from yourself? The thing about problems and sharing your experiences, you share your experiences so you can help liberate other people that might be in the same problem as you. Okay? You speak to people, you ask questions. No one's asking questions. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like what kind of madness and what kind of look, there's a lot of people that lack, is what I've learned a lot over the past year. And a lot of people lack empathy. A lot of people lack compassion. A lot of that revolves around asking questions. But other people are just like, just take the vaccine, you'll be okay, we'll get back to normal. What is that? What is it? I'm sorry. If you're asking me if I'm triggered every single day about this nonsense. This is bullshit.
I know how passionate you feel because I've been there and spoken to you. And one of the things that I realized about you when I first met you was that it was actually hurting you, that this reality that was being imposed upon us was hurting you because you knew your whole essence was rejecting it. And I remember that very clearly. You were rejecting.
Yeah.
It was almost internally, it was just literally flowing out that I do not want this. And I know there are people out there that will feel the same way, but just going back to one thing you said about zombies, could you say what you think about zombies? Because I've got a theory and I'd like to share that with you as well. For you to use that phrase.
I had a nightmare. I had a really bad, I remember this nightmare that I had years and years and years ago, where I looked out the window. I knew I was somewhere. I was in a house. I don't know, maybe it was my one that I'm at. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I had this nightmare where I looked outside the window, right? I looked outside the window and I saw people walking like that. This was years ago. This was like maybe, I don't know, 2007, probably about a year ago, right? I saw people walking like that. Oh, and they were making this noise, but they had their head back like that and they were screaming. Screaming. It was one of the most profound dreams I've had, and I've had a few. I've had a couple recently, and the year before as well. It's quite profound, right? So I walked outside and I was like, what's going on? What is going on? Everyone's walking, and by the time I walked to the gate, I was like, this is scary, really scary, because they're walking, but they're screaming, everyone's screaming. There's loads of people in the street walking, and they're screaming like that. Ah! All in different tones. So the whole road and the whole area was full of screams. I walked out, and when I opened the gate, as soon as I opened the gate, and I wasn't I was just normal, they started coming towards me. So they turned and they went, oh, and they started coming towards me, right? So then I thought that if I don't act like them, they're going to eat me, right?
Yeah.
So then I started, like in Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You ever seen it?
Yeah.
So sometimes they kill the zombies and they tie them to them to make sure that the other zombies don't attack.
Yeah.
Right. So can you imagine how when I saw that I was like, wow. So when I went outside, I started acting like the zombies. I started walking like them with my head back. And I remember my head can't go back so far sometimes. It's had this thing where it couldn't, like, do you know what I mean? It's very uncomfortable.
Making me want to do that now.
Yeah. No, and I had to pretend like I was screaming at the same time in order to fit in with them. Do you understand? They were screaming. I remember crying at the same time because I was so scared.
Yeah, that sounds like a very detailed.
It was so detailed.
A recollection.
Yeah.
I feel that people that don't know you, and I've met you the once or twice. For those of you listening, Jodie has you cannot avoid his spiritual side. You cannot avoid his energy. It's one of the first things I noticed about him when I met him the first time. There's a real gravitational pull towards his energy, and I feel, being a spiritual person myself, I recognize auras and I recognize good and bad. I do believe that. And Jodie has one of the most genuine, authentic souls that I've ever met. What I want to ask you is, though, about going back to zombies, because it's important, because I'll explain why in a minute. What do you think will happen regarding zombies? Do you think we'll have zombies, or what do you think that's projecting when you've mentioned them and your dream?
We've already got them, Nina. I promise.
I totally agree with you. You see,
no, let's not dance around this right now.
No. I just want to see.
I know, but I'm just saying because I'm saying it to myself at the same time. I'm going to in my own conscience. I'm going, maybe I shouldn't say that, but you know what?
No. It's a no holds bar. You say exactly what you want.
Can I swear?
Yes, of course.
A little bit.
You see, I feel zombies. I feel zombies are portrayed to be as you've described, but they are actually living around us, because another word for sheep, it's another word for followers, and yet we all strive for followers because we've been taught that we need those followers, whereas we don't need anyone.
We don't need anyone. You could be your own island and be content with yourself so long as you're right. You know, I don't give a fuck about upsetting anyone. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I don't. Right? It's like when do you get off this ride? When do you get off? It's gone from back. It's like understanding what's happening now from last year to now, and it's happened, and people are still acting like they don't know what's going on. Like, can I help? Yeah, and if you don't require the help, other people need it.
Yeah, most definitely.
But what they don't realize is that when I'm not afraid of getting it wrong, you know. Like I said, in the quest for the truth, you might fall over, but at least I'm in the quest for it.
Yeah.
Where some people are like, oh, let's just watch BBC and let them insult people who have an opinion which isn't being looked at right now.
But in history, as you know, that when people have come out with things that may be of risk to the larger people, you know, the larger sort of dictatorship, let's call it, they are ridiculed and made to look like they are crazy. So for that fact, that I think that will be the case. I just want to ask you a question, something you mentioned to me when we first met that you've never actually gone into. I'm going to ask if you would. Yeah. You told me that when you went to America, when you were, you know, your career was taking off and you were doing really, really well, that you met somebody and they told you your purpose. Are you willing to share that?
Yeah, I am. Why not? Let's do it. So basically, I think me and my friend, best mate at the time, I think we either came back from a club or we woke up. I think we came back from a club and we was in Miami. We was in the Ramada Hotel in Miami around April, around this time, like years ago. And we're standing there, right? I'm surprised you actually remember this. We're standing there. I'm sitting down, he's standing up. We're about to get breakfast. And you know, in America, they do breakfast big. They don't do none of this happy chef. They do everything massive, big breakfast and all sorts. So we're sitting there and we're like, yeah, we're going to need to get something to eat or whatnot, right? So then we're about to get a place, we're hungry, we're starving, whatever. And then all of a sudden this woman comes over, gray hair, I remember, glasses. And she went, excuse me, I don't mean to be funny or anything. I like to talk to you. And I was like, oh, wow, this is weird. This is strange. Me and my friend, we were quite like spiritually minded at the time. We knew like little things or whatever. So then she knelt down and she was like, I need to say something to you. Like, I'm just drawn to you for some reason. That's what she said. And then in my head, I'm like, what does she want? Like, I'm like, when someone comes up to you like that, in general, in London or whatever, or if you're on the street, someone wants to read your fortune or whatever, you're like, what do you want? What do you want? Anyway, she starts hitting on some stuff and she's speaking directly to me and she asked me a few questions. She goes, so what do you do? I said, oh, I'm back home and like I work with kids and stuff like that. Like a youth coordinator in Brent, right? She does this and that and blah, 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 blah. But then when she's talking to me, but she's talking to me in as if she's talking to a kind of linear future and past self. And my friend who knows me, he's going, how does she know that? How does she know this stuff?
Yeah.
Because we were very, very close. And then she goes to me, she's saying all this really profound stuff. And we're like, how is she doing that? Yeah. So then she goes, we're looking at each other in shock. And then she turns around and goes, you know what? I'm going to leave you with something. And I was like, well, it's going to be like one of those little things that like a Romany gypsy might have, or the little, the foil and the flowers. I was like, what is this?
The lavender.
And she reached, then she reached in, or a shrunken skull. Have this, it will give you good luck. So she goes to me, take this. She reached in her purse, right? And her bag, and she goes, take this. I want you to have it, right? This is to invest in your music, because one day, she said all of this stuff that he remembers, right? We're not friends anymore. Which is that he remembers more than me. It was about me, but he remembered. I always used to ask him when through the years, remember that woman? Remember that woman? Wow, that was mad. And he goes, and he remembers more than me, but I held up my hand and she put something in my hand. And I opened up my hand and there was $100 in my hand.
Wow.
And I went, are you serious? I said, listen, you're going to end up doing what you want to do. But the main thing is that you're going to help in the future, you're going to help bring people together for the right thing.
Wow. Okay.
What she said. You're gonna go through this and you're gonna go through that, but it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be all right. She leaves, and there's this little boy over in the corner with like this what I say, American kind of 1980s bass in the haircut. Yeah. And he's over there, probably about 8 years old. They leave. I would say that she disappeared, but I watched them walk away. So then me and him are standing there, and we're like, let's go and get this breakfast. We get up, we grab our plates, we're walking now. We're looking over the partition, looking at each other through the lights, grabbing our food and that. Next thing, I'm seeing him well up as I'm welling up, right? This was like automatic. This was like, what the? Yeah. You know? And then we're grabbing our food. And as we go to sit down, we start crying. Like both of us are crying. Like, because the stuff that she was saying was deep. Like it was very touching. And remember, I don't fall into all of that at that time as well. I don't fall into, I was like, okay, But we sat down and both of us started crying our eyes out.
I think maybe with the realization of the depth of what she shared with you.
It was the depth and the fact that as we were going, it's like you could have been calling our bluff all of that time, or do you know what I mean? But then she gave us $100 and said, she gave me $100 in my hand and said, this is to invest into your music. Because what you're going to do is very, very important for the future. He remembers more, but we fell out. Fell out big time, which is probably a destined thing as well. Yeah. Right? So then we're sitting down, we're eating, and we're both bawling our eyes out, right? And I never forget that moment as well. And on top of that, she didn't know that we needed $100 to get back to the airport.
Really?
We'd run out of money.
Wow.
But that wasn't the reason why we were crying. We were crying, and I was crying because what she said was super profound. Like I can't, like, and it tortured me, it tormented me for years. I was like, wow, I want to give up doing this music thing. No one appreciates this and stuff like that, until I had to learn, obviously, that it doesn't matter how many people hear what you do. Yeah. So you do what you do, that's good. Because to me, as well, I'm going through just tangent in a little bit. It doesn't matter if there's 7 billion people in the world. If you heal someone with something that you've got, one person, to me, that person is worth a bit 7 billion people. Because everyone's connected.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I totally agree.
What you pass on to someone else, someone's going to pass on to someone else. And
I call it a domino or snowball effect. Yeah, definitely.
Right. And that's what it means. It means more to me than money. My integrity means everything now.
Yeah.
That's why I don't care about what you think about my opinion. I have to shout what I believe is true.
The difference between you, Jodie, and a lot of people is you're very sure of who you are. You know, you've discovered who you are within yourself. You've discovered, you know, not the outside, this sort of, I keep saying it over and over again, but we have this shell.
Yeah.
It's significant. It's what's behind that really matters. And a lot of people are just patching it up, literally patching up their outside beauty and not really focusing on who they are within. But I know that you are somebody who's most certain and sure of who you are. Just going back to your music side, you're telling us that, you know, you were going through these struggles, not knowing it would happen. But when it did happen, how did it happen? And what were your, you know, initial thoughts when you actually made it? So, you know, use that phrase.
I think, do you know what? It's not, I never look at it like I made it up. It's just an instance of what that I got signed. Making it for me is making the best tune that's ever been made in the whole entire world. It doesn't need to be signed. Yeah. Like I said, I understand the quality of what I do, and it's worth more than just. I think the integrity that I went into doing and starting music, I had this mind that I didn't want to lose myself.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make the best of the talent that I had. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to I didn't want to be in a place where I could be bought out of my opinion. I want to be able to say no and not change how I feel about something that I feel strongly about. I don't want to be able to be bought like people that are on TV now doing things
to fit in. Yeah,
that doesn't work. It doesn't work for me in the work that I do as a mentor either, because I have to be real with these kids.
Yeah, no, most honestly,
I have to be real with them. Because why? Because they pick up your energy.
Definitely, children are receptible, and they're the most innocent form of love.
They're sacred.
They are unconditional, and they are healing. Actually, being around children is one of the most healing things, because
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But you're not going to know that until you kind of, that's why there's so much difference in opinion online, because some people don't experience the same thing that you experience or other people experience. But.
Do you check something? Do you want to?
No, I think I'm going to put it on a lower heat.
Just, like you were saying that you didn't want to create a Jodie to fit in for the world. You know, you wanted Jodie Abacus to have his voice because your music is an expression of who you are, what you're feeling, and how you want others to feel and take away from that. I know that. Going on to Elton John, I know that you've had that link with Elton John, and he's very much about that. You know, he's very much about being himself, also British, a British artist, and very much controversial in his own right, fighting against what was right and what's wrong, you know, even tried to fit the norm with his own sexuality. And in the end, he discovered happiness in his own right, which I'm really happy about. For those of you who don't know that you were linked with him, how were you recognized by him?
I think well, how it happened, he used to play one of my tunes, one of my songs called She's in Love with the Weekend. And I think maybe I'll Be That Friend, but She's in Love with the Weekend was the main one that he used to play on his show. And then one day I think I was at home, and then someone picked up the recording and said, "Oh my God, Elton John just picked you up. I don't know if it was my manager or whoever, but someone sent it in to me, and I was like, oh, that's a really good compliment.
It's massive because he is very much who he is. He's not you know.
Yeah, he is, but you know, again, if you want me to be real, okay?
Yeah.
If you want this, understand that this is my standpoint, all right? I don't care what's behind me. I care what's in front. I was disappointed to see him take the vaccine. Just like a lot of others. Like, you got to understand, it's like...
I'm going to ask you a question, Jodie.
Go on.
Has he taken the vaccine?
I think I saw him take it.
Or has he been portrayed to take the vaccine?
It might be portrayed. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Exactly.
It might be a picture like that. A lot of things are circle. Look, I don't agree with everything that I see, and I build up this situation and be like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Looks like he took it. Looks like he didn't take it.
Yeah,
I can't go by pictures. Or
he's possibly taken, or he's alleged to have taken it.
Yeah, but there's a lot. You got to understand. There's a lot of money floating around for you to advertise something that,
of course, no one
should be sold to you.
He's showing that it's something that's to be taken, so he's condoning that it's a good thing to do. But I'm not, you know, the money side of it. I mean, there was something about Pfizer making so much money from these vaccines, so they're not doing badly, and they're not doing it as a humanitarian act either. I don't know whether you know, Jodie, but I actually am an advocate for honour killings. I think I might have touched on it with you. Maybe I haven't. But
I think I know what you're talking about. But yeah.
But what I was going to say was, my culture, you know, they kill girls at birth. They leave them under lorries in the hope the lorry driver will get in, not see the baby underneath, and kill the baby. I posted a picture of a child in China. It got the least likes on my page, which is fine because people don't like to feel uncomfortable. I am not apologetic for doing so because I am raising awareness, and I will be giving a TED talk soon. And it's going to be just about honour killings. Whether it brings the mood down for somebody is not my prerogative. My prerogative is to express that we need to make a change. Having said that, I know that you are a mentor, a music mentor for young children, young minds. Have you ever seen anything that you feel that you wished you could have done something about, and your profession has stopped you, without mentioning names, but regarding how a girl is treated from an environment, a culture that restricts her from really expressing herself? Or not necessarily in your schooling, you know, not necessarily in your work, but or just in general life. Have you
in general? I mean, if there's I don't know if I can recall the knee-jerk thing that I'm thinking about right now is a situation when I was in a school, and I said to them, you need to stop giving the kids sugary sweets, bread and stuff, and sugar in them, because these type of kids are mentally, it's not helping for me. It increases their behavior, their bad behavior. I don't know if this is along the same line, but I'm trying to find something that's close to that.
Okay, anything
that I wasn't spoken to, or just. And I think I was standing alone, I was like, if you give these kids sugar and stuff with loads of E numbers, then they go out to play, then they come back, or in the middle of play, you're giving them these sweets and stuff. Why do you think they're flipping out? Why do you think they're going crazy and throwing stuff at the teachers and kicking chairs across the room? Why do you think they're doing that? But no one wanted to listen to that. Nobody wanted to know, you know? And up to now, I still stand my ground in that. You're giving these kids who have behavioral problems sweets, stuff with loads of additives and stuff like that. When they come back, they're messing up the classroom and fighting each other. I'm like, what do you not understand? Like,
yeah, it's sometimes difficult when you're a lone voice trying to get a message across, but you know, for me, I'm very determined and I will continue.
You have to stand in your truth, you know, and I respect anyone that does do that. And, you know, even if, you know, truth is all about searching for what's right. You can't knock someone for that. A lot of people are getting knocked. A lot of people are getting called conspiracy theorists, you know, just because, let's just call them that.
Yeah.
Humanize these people who are thinking and who should not be allowed to go down the rabbit hole. I think it's just really, really dangerous, because those same kids, we're trying to stop them from, like when you work in a Peru, you're trying to stop them from the next 5 years or so going into jail, because we're not going to be, then the police aren't going to be as sympathetic or understanding as you are trying to look at them, as trying to show them love within the environment that they're in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I do get that. I mean, it falls upon deaf ears, and as they say, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. Unfortunately, that's the case in so many different environments. What's your opinion on the word love?
Love is at the top of a category of many things. It's not just a situation between a man and a woman, or a man and a man, woman and a woman, or whatnot. It's about compassion. It's about empathy. It's about wisdom. It's about understanding. It's about patience, long bearing, understanding each other, and in getting letting and live and let live. Okay, there's not a lot of people trying to understand or trying to empathize or trying to compromise, debate, or be compassionate about anyone else's feelings. I can see people's feelings in my inbox. I've never known anything like it in my life. Inside what, as an artist, maybe because I'm asking questions, or maybe because they can feel my energy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a lot of those things where people can't talk. How are we getting to a place where people can't talk about things? How on earth are we getting to that place? We're allowing it to happen. And we're allowing people are coming on and nitpicking at my posts. This might not be right. You need to do, don't you have a responsibility? As I'm not it's not important.
Yeah.
Humanity is important. What I do, someone said to me, oh, are you sure you're all right? I'm like, don't patronize me.
Yeah.
Please don't patronize me. There's one thing I love about being alive, is that understanding other humans. Trying to help to fix or understand people is something that I'm very, very passionate about.
Yeah.
Okay? How can I be on this earth and not delve into the most precious and most important, most imperative thing about existing? And that falls under the category of love. I don't want to get to an age where it's like, it's all about me. I love people. I love people, because people, and especially adults, people have a certain way of behaving, but I can see that through how I work with children. So you can't fool me with this bullshit. You can't fool a lot of people. I might act like I'm stupid.
Like you're stupid.
I'm not stupid.
No, you don't.
I'm not perfect, but I'm definitely not stupid, and I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to understand. But coming back quickly, sorry, when people turn around and go, you don't understand, like, what are you doing to help? You're so busy looking What are you doing to help? Are you too afraid to go outside and step outside and say something? Because I ain't. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're at the most important time of humanity right now. And it's going to take people to put that little ego aside, put the pride aside, yeah, and just look. If you haven't looked at things differently, now's the time to do that.
Yeah.
We are losing everything. No, we're not. Don't you know that things are going back to normal? No, they're not. All right. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. All right. A lot of people want to be wrong. No one signed up for this. I didn't sign up to be an activist. I wanted to just make music.
Yeah.
I'm not as conspiracy theorist looking for attention, as the BBC might put it, in their propaganda. I can't even say anything online without it popping up and being, flagged by fact checkers. Like, where do we get off? Like, come on, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody go home and be like, no, do you know what I mean? Like, let me think about this.
I would
there's
say
some people that are
no freedom of speech. There is definitely not. And if what I would really, sorry to interrupt you, Jodie, but what I will say to people is, from what you're saying, is just to go and do your homework. You don't have to take my word or Jodie's word. Form your own opinion. Don't actually have opinions forced upon you or shoved down your throat. Just go and check Google. It's that simple. You know, our best friend Google has a lot of answers if you choose to look for them. So
you can't even listen. You can't even debate with some people now. They're like, why should I do that? Honestly, it's absolute madness.
I think it is a comfort thing. I think it's easier for them.
It's a real psychological, like, possibly hidden trauma as well.
Yeah. If they do know, then what do? Then everything is uncertain. Nothing that they know being a reality isn't a reality. And a lot of people are unable to, deal with that. What are your views on, when I have read many a times that psychedelics allow people to see the world for what it really is?
Mm-hmm.
What are your views on that?
I really do believe that. People probably think I'm on psychedelics all the time on my Instagram.
No, I just feel that maybe I haven't taken psychedelics myself.
Do you know why I do believe it? Is because I believe that this realm of existence that we're in is based on something, and we're about to find out. Just like we found out how humans really are within a year. It's really been that easy to convince people without facts to do all of these things, right, that they're doing. Now with psychedelics, they lift the veil of what's beyond this veil, what's beyond the frequencies of what we can see, touch, feel, taste, all of that stuff. It's almost like if you're not respecting it as much, it's almost like a telephone or communication to another world.
Wow.
But in some cultures, it's respected as talking to spirits or something like that in order to find yourself or purge certain bits or know yourself so much more. Because a lot of the things, especially with stuff like mushrooms and things like that, where when people take it, a lot of their emotions, they go through, they call it a trip because you're riding through these adventures, you're going through the absolute joy, and sometimes there's a little bit of depression that goes on, but it's compartmentalized. When you feeling low within the trip, this is from someone else's advice, not me, because I've never taken a psychedelic.
I was just thinking how amazing this explanation is. I was very engrossed in that. So
no, but listen. Only just at festivals. Listen, so basically, you've got all of this going on. You're compartmentalizing a bit of your consciousness, saying to yourself, oh my God, I'm a loser. But really and truly, you're not. It's almost as if the reasoning has gone, but you're just dealing with a certain element of your life or a moment that you know that's just being like, it needs to be purged or dealt with, if you know what I mean. But it's there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But it's in a way, for a lot of people and a lot of people's experiences, when I've looked it up, it's been very beneficial. It's changed a lot of people's lives. It's made a lot of people seem less depressed. It's opened up people's this isn't just about you. You know.
Well, on that note, I've been going into a lot of Clubhouse rooms to listen, because I like to learn. I'm one of those people that likes information, and the best way to get that information isn't necessarily always reading about it, it's listening to other people's stories. In history, we've had that throughout time, where we are listening to people first, their first experience of something, and that's how we learn, through their eyes. And I was listening to a lot of people in this room about MDMA, and they were saying that they all felt they were God.
Look, I mean, there's one thing I do know, is that it's being you. I never heard that before. They might have thought they were God on the dance floor. but what it is with that, it helps to alleviate depression, and with some people it helps in their relationship for some reason, which I don't really know. It kind of eases things back and takes away the stress, kind of thing, but it's in a level dose scientifically, right? When it comes to stuff like mushrooms, some people, I understand, is if people have said that.
Mushrooms are a natural product, aren't they? They're naturally.
Mushrooms are stuff of the earth.
There's synthetics in there, so
yeah.
Is there a reason people have stopped taking them? Maybe they at one point were medicinal, and now they're looked on upon drugs. We are told certain things are bad for us, and
for a reason. Okay, they're demonized for a reason. Okay, it's a conspiracy for it. Look, come on, really?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, cannabis. Remember cannabis back in the day? This is in the last 100 years or so. They used to say stuff like is it prohibition in America, or they never used to. They used to stop people. Cannabis was more demonized when Black people started smoking it back in America, saying that they were getting like hype or whatever, blah 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 blah. But also, what cannabis was doing, it was treating people with Parkinson's and stuff like that. So now they've got to invest in order to control now the government. So there will be shops here eventually,
Yeah.
But then you think when you think about, anytime someone mentions that, I always say to myself, what happened to imagine you're in jail in America for selling cannabis. No, and you still can't get out.
Yeah.
But then you see people setting up shops, and it's sanctioned, and the government is involved, and it's like you're sitting there thinking to yourself, oh, this is nice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do really, if we're going back to the psychedelics, I think mushrooms, especially in this situation, is probably a good remedy for people who are going through depression and anxiety, which it's been a whole year.
Yeah, there's a lot
for something that works. It works for our leaders. It keeps us weak. It keeps us weak. It keeps the immune system down, and it keeps you subdued in your mind. It keeps you not, oh my God, I can't be bothered. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, when you're at home, when people have been at home, they're drinking, they're taking drugs, they're getting messed up.
Yeah.
People are committing suicide.
Yeah, there's been a lot of deaths. And
the voices aren't being heard.
No, the impact
not
is
being heard. Do you know what? I got to chill up. So I'm willing to take the flak for it. I don't give a shit. This is the most important time in human history we've ever experienced in our whole entire life. It comes down to this. right now.
What would you give as a takeaway from this, for people watching or listening to it? What would you say to them if you could just give them a few sentences of how they can deal with the pandemic and just life in general? How can they keep going when they feel
before you think, take the fear out of your mind. Just take it out of your mind. And before, if you ever bring something to a logical conversation, always make sure you have empathy, compassion, wisdom in that conversation. If people have a tendency to go, you know what, I don't care about, do you know what I'm saying? That's none of those things. You have to be able to understand in order to debate properly. Running away from the conversation or facts, or running away from someone saying to you, look, here's the information on the government website, isn't going to help if you run away. Do you understand? So it's like being able to lose the fear and the pride and the ignorance and the ego in order for us to understand each other, in order for us to come to some kind of ground at the most important time in human history, and not just guess, not just assume. It's like this is like a 2-hour conversation. Someone goes to me, they try to show me something. I'm not even going to get into this because this is another, I'm going to save it and you can ask me. Someone tried to show me something last year. But then I found out for myself. This is what's important, finding out for yourself.
Yeah, it's valid.
When I found out, I was like, oh my God, I was just agreeing with things. And then when I found out stuff for myself, I was like, no, you know what, Jay, you're an arsehole. You can't expect to judge people like that. What, you think that person's good or bad just because someone else said it? That's dangerous.
Yeah. I do believe there is, as the saying goes, there is nothing to fear but fear itself. And when that fear is implicated into your mindset, then you are disabled from living a normal and happy life. And also, like you're saying, please go out and research and find out things for yourself, because you have that validation, and don't ignore the universal signs of people saying things to you, because that person has been brought in your path. We don't cross paths with people for no reason. I met you for a reason. Everything that you do on a daily basis it will pull towards you the people that need to be in your path or need to cross your path. So I will definitely leave it on that. If people want to know where they can find your music or listen to you, I thoroughly enjoy your music. I have it on my Spotify. But if anybody else wants to find out where they can find you, can you just let them know where to go?
So you can go to, I prefer you to go to somewhere like Apple or Spotify. No, Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Jodie Abacus, excuse me, YouTube or Instagram. Come and find me on Instagram. If you're thinking like me in this conversation, or Nina or whatever, come join me, because I'm not afraid to speak my voice, especially when people tell me not to. I'm going to speak more. Okay.
I think,
like I said,
Jodie's practicing freedom of choice and freedom of speech, which everybody should have that fun.
And even in the face of fear.
Yeah.
Even in the face of fear. Because it's like, one more thing, it's like my friend, he came to the house the other day. I said to him, I don't wear my mask. Why don't I wear my mask? Because I'm not wearing it for the right reasons anymore. Like, I'm not, or not even anymore, but I'm wearing it out of fear. But I understand what the mask is about. So I'm not going to do something that I don't believe in. You can call me whatever you want to call me. But I understand what's happening. And anything else is up to you to ask me. And I'm willing. That someone asked me the other day in my thing, like, I might be on a different side of the fence to you, but I want to understand what's going on. And you know what? I respect them for that.
Yeah.
Everything else, if it's not love, that's the last thing I want to say. If it's not love, it's bullshit.
Thank you so much, Jodie. I'm going to end it with, as you said, if it's not love, it is as you described. But I do believe that love, and I've said this on many podcasts, is the strongest form that can resolve every issue that we face as human beings. And if that love comes from you internally and you hold that self-love, then you are you know, you're indestructible. You will become a force to be reckoned with, for sure.
Yeah, I believe it 100%.
So thank you so much, Jodie. And for anybody that wants to find out more about Jodie, I will have, when this podcast gets posted, all of his details below. And please support my amazing friend, because he definitely is one of the most genuine, authentic, as I said, souls that I've met. Thank you, Jodie.
Thank you, Nina.